CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
And Vic PD is asking for your help tonight as they try to find whoever was responsible for this. A couple seriously injured when they were knocked down by a skateboarder downtown. Downtown Victoria, within the red boundary on that map, is a no-go zone for skateboarders, but there was a man on his board at View Street in Douglas when he knocked down a 57-year-old Coquitlam woman who was visiting. She suffered serious facial injuries. Her husband was also knocked over, and he suffered a dislocated shoulder. The skateboarder left the scene, last seen wheeling his way westbound through Bastion Square. Police say the skateboarder is in his early 20s. He has dark blonde or light brown hair, about 6 feet tall, with a light green or lime green skateboard. If you saw what happened at View in Douglas, or if you have any information regarding the incident, you're asked to contact Victoria Police or Crime Stoppers. RCMP have a warning for you tonight to keep a close eye on your plastic purchases after more than 50 credit cards were compromised on the West Shore. RCMP say people who have been swiping their credit cards at the Station House pub in Langford have been getting surprise charges on their statements. So far, Mounties say at least 53 credit cards have been compromised. Victims say that purchases in the U.S. are now showing up on their cards.
A victim that reported her card had been used in Ohio, although she was still in possession of a card, and that two of the victim's friends were also, her credit cards were also being compromised. At this time, the investigation we're looking at is at least minimum 53 compromised credit cards, and we strongly encourage for anybody that have frequented the Station House pub to check their credit cards.
RCMP say if you made a credit card purchase at the Station House pub over the last few months, double check your credit card statements and report anything unusual. HMCS Regina is not the only ship that has left port. Military forces from around the world, including those from CFB Esquimalt, have gathered near the Hawaiian Islands for Rim of the Pacific, or RIMPAC, the world's largest international maritime exercise. For the next 6 weeks, nearly 1,500 Canadians will work alongside crews from 21 other countries in a series of military exercises. 150 staff from CFB Esquimalt are taking part, including crews on HMCS Victoria, Algonquin, and Ottawa. The exercise began Friday, turning Pearl Harbor into a sea of activity with more than 40 ships and submarines and aircraft arriving daily. Following the earthquake and tsunami last year in Japan, debris training has been added to the exercise this year.
All of our warships have been briefed, and they will be participating in a tsunami debris lookout, if you will. So if they do come across any tsunami debris, they will report it, so that we'll be able to provide that feedback in accordance with NOAA, who's been asking for that.
The Canadian contingent spent Sunday celebrating Canada Day in Pearl Harbor. With the maple leaf raised, Commodore Peter Ellis says forces from all over the world congratulated the Canadian men and women on our country's 145th birthday. RIMPAC continues until August 3rd. The BC Government and Service Employees Union has officially launched its 24-hour strike job action against 3 BC government liquor warehouses. BCGEU members in Victoria walked off their jobs at 11:30 last night at the liquor distribution warehouse on Government Street. The employees have been without a contract for nearly 3 years and have not had a raise since 2009. The union wants a new contract, seeking a 3.5% wage increase in the first year of a 2-year deal. The employees say the government's last offer was insufficient, but they don't want to see full-scale labor unrest if the government is willing to bargain.
If the government is willing to come to the table and negotiate fair and reasonable deals for public servants in BC, then I think you'll see that happen. I think that our bargaining position is very reasonable, and I don't think that there's necessarily a potential for labor unrest if the government's willing to really bargain with us. And definitely our bargaining committee exhausted every available option to reach a deal.
Government employees at distribution warehouses in Kamloops and Vancouver also walked off their jobs. Meantime, the province says there are 6 companies that have stepped forward with proposals to take over the province's liquor distribution branch. The government says, however, it will only agree to privatize the system if it saves the province money and improves efficiency. The employees are against the privatization of the liquor branches, as the move will put their jobs at risk. 7 African penguins are sporting new names as they make themselves at home at the Vancouver Aquarium. They have been named Hope, Nelson, Tofino, Lillooet, Steveston, Seashell, and Salt Spring. The aquarium says it wanted those new penguins to represent places around the province. Search and rescue technicians from CFB Comox airlifted a hiker to safety after she became stranded on the West Coast Trail. It is not clear yet whether she was injured or suffered a medical condition. The military was called by Parks Canada to evacuate the hiker from a spot near the mouth of the Walbrand Creek. She was taken to Victoria General Hospital in stable condition. The newly expanded Nanaimo Airport has welcomed its 1 millionth passenger. The airport began its two-phase expansion in 2006 and began counting passengers when that project began. Today, the millionth passenger took off on an Air Canada Jazz flight to Vancouver on his way to Fort McMurray. He's a regular customer who uses the Nanaimo Airport as part of his regular work routine.
I'm a pipe fitter, 10 days in, 4 days out, so I use the airport a lot.
Good man. Jack Rumney received a prize package that included new luggage. You can use that and the chance to win $1 million for becoming the millionth passenger. Later this month, Rumney and 29 other people will get an opportunity to crack a 5-digit code on a safe. If they can open it, they'll win $1 million. The airport has purchased insurance to cover that prize money if it's won. The Nanaimo Museum is hosting a series of summer programs that'll help you keep your kids active and educated until school resumes again in the fall. The program today was Old-Fashioned School. It included a trip back in time to a classroom from 100 years ago. Children were shown something they haven't seen in school for a while, the strap, and taught to write with quill pens and told stories about life in the early 1900s.
We get them in there practicing writing on the chalkboards, writing with the quill pens, which is a whole experience onto itself. And we also have some toys that children would have played with during recess time. We asked the kids, would you like to go to school now, or would you have liked to have gone to school 100 years ago? And most of the time they choose now.
The museum will host programs for children throughout the summer. Old-Fashioned School, by the way, happens every Tuesday. On Thursdays, it's Rocket Lab, teaching children about outer space while they build their own rockets. And on Sunday, they make ice cream sundaes from scratch. If you'd like to find out more, go to the website, nanaimomuseum.ca.